It's kind of shaky again, uh, but until I have something better, to set up. I mean, I could test out a long video with my, well, it shouldn't be long. Statistically, YouTube puts out creator, suggestions and stuff, and they say 20 minutes is the best. Maximum people's attention span, unless it's a movie or some kind of a conference or festival or um, performance or speech, generally above 40 minutes is bad. Um, I'm always above 40 minutes. It's like an extremely long homily, extremely long. Um, anyway, but the VBA contractor, um, I finally managed to get into their website, and they had me going to Flint for a very general neurological exam, all the way to Flint for a 15-minute exam, covering very general neurological issues, which is crazy. And then I received a call a couple of hours ago from the vendor, the same vendor, that uh, they've changed it to Detroit. Absolutely out of their minds. And then I also have a couple medical exams, which I don't have to attend. Right there, that's bad, because they're going to base them off the evidence from the VA, which is not good for me. Um, a lot of falsification, a lot of lying, um, this crazy stuff. But I didn't have to attend. They're going to base these on records from the VA, which even the VA um, doesn't have a lot of this stuff because they haven't tried to grab it. I have to press and press and press before they grab a lot of this radiological imaging and stuff from outside. Um, through community care, I have to push and push and push, and still a lot of it they don't have. So that medical exam right there. First of all, I'm not there, to go over this stuff. Second of all, it's from the VA, and they said, well, you can bring those records from those, other providers. The good provider that knows how to examine somebody, they're going to already read through my records before I even sit in the waiting room. Um, so when I bring something to read, if it's all there, I found there's a really big disconnect between the VA, the Saginaw VA, and community care. Either they'll have the reports, if it's radiological imaging, they'll have the reports, but they won't have the imaging, or vice versa. And with the outside labs, I've found, especially Arup Labs, anybody who follows my channel knows I can't stand Arup Labs. They are so narcissistic and so arrogant, and they, being their employee owned, and then being as they're so arrogant, even as to file suit against the FDA, saying you don't have the right to set testing ranges for autoimmune diseases for our proprietary tests. Like they set the standard on what is sick and what is not. We see where that got us with COVID, right? One place is open, next place closed. One place you wear a mask, next place you don't. I'm not a supporter of a fascist, powerful central government, but sometimes you need it. And I would bet that there's probably a lot more experts with a lot more initials behind their names that work at the FDA, and they would have a lot of connection with a lot more academics than a company that's only concerned about R&D budgets and profit. Especially one that's shady and got their contract through their Republican connections. Because, I believe, because they knew what was coming with the PACT Act. If you follow the money trail, you'll see that Arup Labs got the big fat VA contract for any histological, which is blood, and autoimmune tests. They got the contract, not LabCorp, not Quest. Even Quest has a questionable history. Quest Labs, which they're all over the place in Michigan. Quest is probably the most common you're going to find, but Quest in a couple of states they were found they were overbilling federal government and state governments. They were doing double testing on samples, and billing, like I said, the federal and state governments twice when it was only asked for once. And then they were selling off patient information, patient samples, selling it off. And in addition to that, they were improperly selling or improperly disposing of stuff. And then add to that, at the same time all of this was happening, the person who brought this attention to the IG was fired a couple of times. And then they destroyed this lady's life. They destroyed it, her name, her reputation. They blackballed her. To use a temple term, they blackballed her. Absolutely destroyed her life. Because she reported what they were doing. That's a felony. And in the end, guess what happened? A small slap on the wrist, a small fine. Oh, you got to say sorry. Okay, we got a new contract for you. That's it. That's 1% justice. And then a RUP Lab sued the FDA, and I don't know what happened at the case. I should probably look it up one of these days. But they sued the FDA, saying you don't have a right to say testing ranges. And between Quest and a RUP Labs, their testing ranges are very similar. I have this from a VA physician, and it makes sense to me because I think both of them are dirty, rotten scoundrels. And again, they step on the necks of veterans, and especially veterans who rely on the VA for medical care instead of private insurance, because more than likely they're middle class or they're poor. Once again, we have the 1% stepping on the neck of the poor and the vulnerable, which is what predators do. And their testing ranges, they are so far out of whack that you have to be, according to their range, you have to be very, very ill with, incredible amounts of inflammatory markers before, according to their testing ranges, keep in mind that they do all autoimmune for the VA before you're classified as either mild, moderate, or severe. Because according to their argument, everybody has some of these tests. Everybody has some of these inflammatory markers. And if that were true, that would mean that everybody has signs of inflammation, which is bogus, and there's no studies to back that up. It is proprietary. It is so they can screw people over. And you'd think if they were smart, they would have the same inflammatory marker ranges that other labs would, because when you think about it in the long-term perspective, from a CEO's perspective, hey, the more people that get autoimmune, the more people that we're going to be tested, or that we're going to be asked to test, the more people that are going to be coming back repeatedly for our tests because they are already ill. Long range. But of course, you got people in charge that are short-sighted and obtuse. Oh yeah, and they hold to the party line. So that being said, back to the main topic. This lab, they're going to do the medical exam. I could bring my evidence from the outside providers, which more than likely would just be glanced at. So I said to her, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm being set up for this right here. First of all, you send me to far, far away for a DBQ for neurology issues, a 15-minute thing, and you send me, 50, no, actually, I think Flint's like 65 miles away, I think, somewhere around there. Detroit's probably close to 100 for a 15-minute test. And then, for other stuff that is so far reaching, we're just going to grab stuff from the VA. If they even have anything. And if they don't, well, it doesn't matter. veteran screwed. It'll be denied or deferred. So again, we go back into the buffer with VBA, and we're going to sit and wait for another. Well, according to her, we have to schedule an exam for you within 20 days. So there's another month, at least another month. And if it's the provider, you know, they can't get a schedule within 20 days, well, then it becomes 30 to 60. And they keep you in financial captivity again and again and again. And they toy with you, like me, 9 months. 9 months for some pretty simple claims that, shoot, four of them are related to PACT Act already. Four of them. Um, there's a level of humiliation and abuse, and depression. I wouldn't say that. I would just say, sick of being screwed with. You know, I wouldn't say depression. I guess it could, alter your outlook because you get tired of the nonsense. And this isn't for the most part. This isn't VA rules and procedures. This is people. Some of them just negligent. Some of them don't care. Some of them they're obviously, within certain agencies. Some people are retaliating, and then there's also the element of, you know, are you working within networks that people have organized against you? Like we have a very bad history with Covenant. I'm willing, to give them a chance, but we've had so much stuff happen to us, and and then obviously my Michigan, which used to be St. Mary's, is St. Mary's no longer because I've even been toyed with them so far. What now? We're at twice. They've toyed with either me or my daughter. Um, that's just what it is. It's a small community, and when people are organizing against you, they can absolutely destroy your life. But my focus is on, the nonsense with the claim and this newest stuff. Oh, they want to redo some of the issues we've already done. And why would that be? Were they trying to, probably trying to find a way to deny? Generally, when it comes to a VBA claim, you don't redo stuff. If you do redo stuff, they're trying to make you get denied. Um, then some stuff you can't you can't really judge anything from an MRI report. Okay, so we see this. Um, what is this present? Does it mean this, or could it mean this? It only gets you halfway to home. And when you're stuck at second base, you're still not home. It's still not a run. You're still just standing in the field.